Good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. Today, I'm gonna cover a few questions regarding my art, a few questions that have been asked during my TikTok videos on Kara, and address them in details, but as quickly and shortly as possible so that you can, get your answer and go on with your daily business. The questions will be: what brushes do I use? How long do I take to finish a painting? What references do I use? How do I start visualizing my painting before I start painting? Do I have an idea of what I'm gonna paint before I'm actually starting the painting? How much do I use 3D in my work? What are the proportions? And what about character art? And maybe I'll add the last question would be, what do I think about AI? Obviously, the answer here would be, it's catastrophic, it's very bad. Let's start with question 1. What brushes do I use? And the answer is quite frankly simple, which is the normal default brushes of the software usually. Only in Procreate there's one round brush that I have adapted, which gives my round brush an extremely sensitive, pressure sensitive width size. So that means that when I'm drawing lightly, it's very small. It could even be a few pixels small. And if I press very hard on my pen on Procreate on iPad, then it would be very big, like a very big brush. So it's a brush I used. I got used to because I was very lazy to change my brush sizes because I wanted to draw with one hand and just use my left hand to just hold the tablet. And so I had to think of a brush that could adapt just by using my right hand. And so that's how that brush came to life. The second question is, how much time do I usually take to make and finish my drawing? And this is an interesting question, and this changes a lot from moment to moment. Some of my paintings are finished after 2 hours. Of course, they are still sketchy and not the same amount of details. But if I consider a painting finished, I mean by that is visually interesting enough to show to the people. It's interesting enough for me to look at it later and think, oh, wow, that's interesting. I like that one. And so that really can change from painting to painting. But between 2 and 5 hours would be the answer. Above 5 hours, usually my painting, I can't add anything more to it that's going to make it interesting. In general, my paintings are sketchy. This is my style. So I don't really need to add more details than that. So that's it. Of course, I can say more about what makes a painting longer, but this would be for another video, because now I'm trying to cover the questions and the answers as quickly as possible. The next question is, what references do I use? I had my moments in my career, in my art career, that I used more references, especially for clients. I have to use references. But when I'm just drawing for myself, I'm really letting go all, external influences, and I'm just focusing on my internal, how I feel inside, and painting from inside out. And this gives me a more relaxing way of painting. And surprising enough, it gives me results that people really appreciate, really like. So it's really amazing to be able to paint from imagination and that people really like what you're doing without having to rely on external sources. Of course, I have built a visual library over time where, I have a few things in my mind, how things work. But you can see in my paintings, most of the things are really simple to understand, like just houses, windows, trees. I'm thinking a lot in terms of shapes originally when I paint. And this is where I'm coming to my fourth question. How do I visualize? What do I visualize before starting? Well, actually, the answer is here. I start with shapes, interesting compositions, really abstract shapes. And from there, I start building more and more towards a visually figurative, understandably painting that has more storytelling to it. Although I always I really enjoy, but it's not that I try, but it's just that I enjoy it. I really enjoy staying abstract in general in my paintings. So to give you an answer, I don't really start with a precise ID. The fifth question, how much 3D do I use? This really depends. If I want to focus on the concept, on the details in my painting, I want to make a painting with more details, with more understanding, where I can put more storytelling elements, I will use 3D. If I want to stay abstract and really have a compositionally interesting, with a very interesting style and painterly style, I'm going to start without 3D. I'm not going to use 3D. But in general, I'm trying to move towards 3D because for client work, it's really helpful, because you can it's like making a sketch and showing to the client, and then all you have to do is overpaint it. So, the client still has that stylish painterly style that comes along with it. So 3D is really good for professional purposes. It really helps visualize the story and so forth, the details. But when it comes to visual attractiveness, painterly style without any 3D will always win the race. So it depends what you really are looking for. The sixth question is about my character art. I don't do a lot of character art. I've been focusing on environment art because this is what brought me, everything, like my clients, my popularity, I would say, the way that people appreciate my art. If I make character art, people will just not look at my art. So I can make it, but it will just be for myself in that case. I will, just keep it for myself or share it a little bit, but it's never gonna be the same, obviously. And so my stance on AI for the last question, to cover it very fast, I think AI has a very, very bad impact on creativity in all domains, but especially in art. It will push people away from art. And although it might open some doors to, have a crazy fantasy or ideas and all these kind of things, in the end, the value of art will become undervalued. People will stop dreaming about, oh, wow, I imagined this and that, because everything is possible to make for everyone in the world. It's possible. Whenever you have something in mind, you can literally make it with AI. So dreaming, the aspect of dreaming is really away. So using your own imagination becomes useless. Like your own imagination as human being, which is something fantastic when you can use it yourself, when you can actually make and create things yourself, this will disappear. And this is very sad because it's something that is so beautiful to experience. And of course, for us artists, and I experienced it really myself, AI has destroyed my career, and it has taken away all my clients, and I can't blame the people with smaller budgets that can't afford coming to me for paintings. I can't blame them to do it for free, of course, compared to my paintings, who will cost them hundreds of euros for one single illustration. So can't blame them at the same time, but it is definitely impacting me and probably the industry. Maybe not as much as you think now, but in the future it will. It will really destroy all creative processes. And I also think artists and people who like drawing, like young people, will get into art way less quickly. They will do it as a hobby, but the level that we used to achieve with high-level senior concept artists will not be the same anymore because of that. And it's understandable because money is driving motivator for learning art and performing at it. So that's my stance on it. So I hope it was interesting for you guys to follow this video. And I want to make more videos about it. Let me know what you think about the video, if it helped, if you watched until the end. If it's boring, let me know. And I wish you a good day, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Free audio post-production by Alphonic.com.